What does the Hub mean to the community? I think the Hub means family for lots of people. The folks who come in and use the pantry or use the education programs really start to think about the space as a comfortable, safe space, a community space for gathering, and they think about the staff and the volunteers in terms of their friends and family.
Well, cheers, enjoy it.
When I first came to the Hub, we were really focused on the food pantry and getting more food in the door and getting it out the door. And over the years, we've really been able to focus more energy on programming that we think has a more lasting impact. So on our education programs, building an advocacy program, getting at those root causes of hunger. When we think about new programming or we think about a different direction for something, we try to think in terms of, does this promote social justice? Is this equitable for people, and does it speak our values?
There's really something about the kitchen and about coming together in the kitchen. It's the heart of the space. It's the heart of our space, but I feel like it's the heart of any home. Well, what I would advise for any organizations who are just getting started with nutrition education or wanting to change it up a little bit and focus more on community building, I would suggest breaking away from like a set curriculum and trying something that feels more about you and your staff, your personalities and your interests, the interests that you see in the community that you're serving, and just trying to get a little more creative with it, a little more spontaneous. It's part of what I really love about the work that I get to do here is that it's very responsive to what's here and who's here. There's just something about sitting around together at a table and sharing a meal, and just the dignity of that space together that we've created together, the dignity of like, I trust you in this space. I think that kids really appreciate that and respond to that. I think adults do too.
Rightfully so, folks that need food assistance are pretty focused on the food assistance. And so it took some time of really listening, hearing folks tell their stories to get at what are the root cause issues that people are experiencing. And we also realized that we were never going to end hunger with our food pantry alone. In all parts of our community, there's some major issues that people experience, and affordable housing and affordable health care are probably at the base. We hear so many stories about people who can't manage basic, what we believe are rights. We believe health care is a right. We believe that housing is a right. And so it took longer than I thought it would to really get from the connection of food assistance to some of those root cause issues. We started registering folks to vote, and we kind of put out this call to the community that we need help. We can train you on how to do voter registration, who can come and offer that in the food pantry. And we ended up with a couple patrons with really incredible stories who had a lot of background in organizing. And from that, they helped us to initiate an advocacy working group, which is our first group that we've ever had that is, directly about organizing. And so we started that in January, and it's changed forms, and we're learning a lot, but we have, a core team who's really working to address some issues and learn how to turn passion into action.
Once a month we have the Hub lunch, and we either leave that open for people to just bring issues to us and have kind of a more organic discussion about things, or we come with a topic or a guest speaker or some bit of information that we think is important to people to be aware of.
The Toolshare program came from patron feedback that when we would have a class like a canning class or an intro to vegetable gardening class, that folks didn't necessarily have the tools that they needed. Not only did they have, a difficulty purchasing and affording tools, but also storing them, especially if you're not in the same place for a long time or you're living in a small apartment. And so we thought, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if we could share tools as a community? And so we kind of followed the public library's way of being an open space where we really could share, and with a focus on gardening and cooking tools.
Living in poverty can be really isolating. If you don't feel connected to other people, then you don't really have someone to ask for help. Making the Hub be a place where people feel comfortable and welcome and want to talk with people instead of just rushing through and getting the food that they need is really important to us in breaking down that isolation.
Yeah, and there you go.
The Hub should be a place, a true, hub of activity, a hub of community, a hub of connection and sharing resources and sharing skills. The work here is all about relationships, and it's about the connections that we make with each other.
Charity alone cannot solve hunger. In itself, it is a great thing, and it meets an immediate need that people have, but it's not a long-term solution to poverty, and it's not a long-term solution to hunger. We'd want to have the best food that we can available for people, but we want them to have an empowering and a dignified experience. We want them to feel important and welcome and cared for when they're here.
So really, the work here is all about relationships, and it's about the connections that we make with each other. And I just think it's really the most transformative work that we do here.